I want this video, this phase video. I'll be checking out a video from Whatculture. Is it 10 WWE releases that actually help a wrestler? Alright, let's go.
Now, for some, being suddenly released from WWE spells the end of their professional wrestling journey. However, being let go by the Fed does not have to be a career death sentence. Some wrestlers have used that sad news as fuel to power the next stages of their career and achieve new heights. Like this lot did. Fingers crossed some of the most recent releases follow in the following stars' footsteps, eh? I'm Gareth, this is Whatculture Wrestling, and here are 10 WWE releases that actually helped a wrestler. Firstly, some honourable mentions. As with many lists like this one, there are countless names that just missed the cut. But they should not be ignored. Instead, they deserve mention right here. So that's what we're doing. Mustafa Ali was wrestling in NXT when he was released in 2023. He blitzed the independent scene, competing in GCW, Progress, Defy Wrestling, Rev Pro, and New Japan, before ultimately settling in with TNA. There, he won the X Division and international titles. If this list right here were to be made in a few months' time, Andrade El Idolo might find himself much higher on the list. Released from WWE for the second time in 5 years in late 2025, Andrade has found his footing in his second run with AEW, becoming a marquee player who has been involved in the world title hunt and battled top stars on Dynamite and pay-per-view. He's taken a lot of selfies with pretty ladies too. Juice Robinson is almost unrecognizable from the CJ Parker character that was released from NXT in 2015. An 8-year run in New Japan saw him win the IWGP United States and Tag Team Championships before finding his way to AEW, where he has hit some hard luck with injuries but remains a notable figure on their programming. Ricochet was little more than a high-flying job guy for WWE on the main roster before leaving the company in 2024 and turning up 2 months later in AEW as a surprise entrance in the Casino Gauntlet match at All In. I was there, it was a great time. Despite continuing to lose more often than not, he has become a featured character and been given his own stable, The Demand. He's also bald, which is why I love and salute him. Neville's 2018 departure from WWE was less than ideal, with the former Cruiserweight champion having his contract frozen before finally leaving. As one of the first signings with AEW, Pac became a central figure during the early days of the company, and he remains a prominent wrestler as part of the Death Riders. So yeah, those lot have all done very good. So we're gonna give him a little round of applause, and then we're gonna move on to the top 10. Number 10, Matt Cardona. Zack Ryder was a punchline in WWE at the time of his 2020 release, but he was given a token tag title win alongside longtime friend and fellow jobber Kurt Hawkins during the WrestleMania 35 kickoff show. Their award was to disappear from television and never defend the titles before then losing them just 2 months later. Rather than sulk about his lot, Matt Cardona reinvented himself as the indie god, competing everywhere during a 5-year run away from WWE. He wrestled in bigger promotions such as AEW and Impact/TNA, and made a name for himself competing and winning titles in GCW and NWA. But he also captured gold in Absolute Intense Wrestling, DDT Pro Wrestling, Empire State Wrestling, House of Glory, Arizona Wrestling Federation. It's a long list. Cardona could have coasted off his Ryder persona, but he used that notoriety to his advantage and reinvented himself. His work in GCW, winning their world title in a death match, earned him praise and set the stage for his work across countless promotions. Cardona parlayed that success to return to WWE earlier this year, where he has backslid into a jobber role, admittedly, but he deserves mention here for his work during that stint away from the company. There's still time for him to turn it around too. Woo, woo, woo. Right, before we go any further, where would you like some of the more recently released wrestlers to turn up next? Let me know in the comments down below. Maybe some of the places that Matt Cardona went to. So, everywhere. Number 9, Athena. Released in 2021, the former Ember Moon felt like a huge miss by WWE. They cut an insanely talented wrestler who hadn't even hit her damn prime. Returning to her old ring name, Athena, she found her way to AEW/Ring of Honor. Athena quickly established herself as the ace of the women's division, winning the ROH Women's World Championship and holding it for more than 3 years and counting, unless she finally loses it before this video is published. I doubt it. However, ROH is a smaller brand than even NXT, which is why she ranks so low on this list despite being a dominant champion in a brand with such name recognition. On the plus side, Athena has made numerous appearances on AEW television and managed to shine in every opportunity, thus leaving fans to speculate that she could get that de facto call-up at some point and become a prominent force on Dynamite and Collision. I mean, it'd be about time. What are you doing, Tony? Regardless, her stock is higher now than it was when she was being utilized as a Challenger of the Month in NXT. She deserved better, and she got it. Number 8, FTR. As the revival in WWE, the duo that would be known as Dax Harwood and Cash Wheeler were widely regarded as one of the most technically sound tags in the company. However, that alone does not cut it in the land of sports entertainment, does it? After a celebrated run in NXT, their main roster stay could be summed up in 2 words: Oozy hot. Ugh. In April 2020, the pair were finally granted their release from WWE, and a month later, they were on AEW Dynamite. In their near 6-year run in All Elite Wrestling, FTR has established themselves as one of the best tag teams in the world today. FTR has worked numerous critically acclaimed matches, their trilogy against the Briscoe brothers being an outstanding example, whilst being an entertaining act on television, and proving that they always were capable of the entertainment part of sports entertainment, just not the kind that WWE was serving up in the late 2010s, which was pretty crap. Who are we kidding? Had they remained with WWE, they likely would have been misused, broken up, feuded with each other, and demoted to NXT. Instead, they're a celebrated team who were recently involved in a feud with one of the biggest duos of the Attitude Era in Adam Copeland and Christian Cage, and are positioned to have a marquee match at All In this summer. Could they one day return to WWE and prove that they had it in them to soar in the land of entertainment all along? Only time will tell. Number 7, Marina Shafir. None featured elsewhere on this list started out with a lower floor than Marina Shafir. In NXT, Shafir was paired with Jessamine Duke, helping fellow 4 horsewoman Shayna Baszler recapture and retain her NXT Women's Championship. Besides the notoriety of being part of the MMA Horsewomen, Shafir did not really stand out in NXT or WWE before being released in 2021. Marina would compete in GCW's Josh Barnett's Bloodsport a few times while also wrestling for AEW and Ring of Honor, but still nothing really seemed to be clicking for her, and she just toiled away on AEW Dark and ROH. Then in 2024, Shafir appeared alongside Jon Moxley, more on him in a bit, where she became an intriguing figure that evoked memories of China as muscle for a male wrestler. As the Death Riders evolved, Shafir's role continued to grow, and she began getting more involved in matches and then wrestling herself. Although she hasn't won any titles or become immensely successful on her own, there is no denying that Shafir has benefited tremendously from being away from WWE and being under Moxley's tutelage. She's now become a compelling figure on AEW TV, and that is a big improvement from her WWE stint. Number 6, Drew McIntyre. If your WWE fandom goes back more than a decade, you probably have vivid memories of a very different Drew McIntyre than more recent fans possess. The McIntyre whom WWE released in 2014 was a complete jobber, a clean-shaven member of faux rock group 3MB. Yes, that trio of air guitar strumming, leather-clad goobers who lost to just about everyone. What a time. His release wasn't much of a surprise, as the former Intercontinental Champion and Chosen One had fallen off incredibly. Banished to the independent scene, Drew Galloway remade a name for himself with stops in ICW, TNA, Evolve, PWG, and Whatculture Pro Wrestling. By the time 2017 rolled around, Drew was a hot commodity again and returned to WWE via NXT, where he became the brand's top champion. And a year later, McIntyre jumped to the main roster. It would take some time for Drew to really find his footing as a top guy, but McIntyre would eliminate Brock Lesnar from the 2020 Royal Rumble before winning the whole damn match, then dethroned the Beast for the WWE Championship at WrestleMania 36, sadly in front of an empty performance center though. McIntyre has been a prominent or featured wrestler during the past 6 years, becoming a 4-time world champion in WWE. That is a far, far cry from the tall, lanky guy in 3MB. And none of that would have likely happened had he not been released. Right, before you go any further, claim that subscribe button if you haven't already, and you'll get even more of these fantastic What Culture Wrestling videos in your life. Now on to number 5, Jon Moxley. Dean Ambrose was a former World, Intercontinental, United States, and Tag Team Champion, a Money in the Bank winner, and 1/3 of one of the company's biggest acts of the 2010s, The Shield, at the time of his departure from WWE. However, Ambrose also had become a punchline in his waning days, when WWE milked one last Shield reunion before his 2019 exit. Upon joining All Elite Wrestling, Jon Moxley immediately became one of the company's biggest stars, a run that still continues to this very day. Since 2022, he has been in a stable of grapple-heavy wrestlers. Firstly, he was in the Blackpool Combat Club alongside manager William Regal, Claudio Castagnoli, Bryan Danielson, and Wheeler Yuta. And now he leads the Death Riders with Claudio, Wheeler, Pac, Marina Shafir, and Daniel Garcia. They're all dead hard. Moxley has been a central figure in AEW throughout this tenure, racking up 4 world title reigns and the international and continental belts as well. To call him a vital part of AEW would somehow still be underselling his impact. It really shouldn't be surprising considering the excitement that accompanied his All Elite debut, but even back then, few could have predicted just how much of a success his post-WWE run would be. Number 4, Mercedes Moné. Sasha Banks was a 6-time women's champion and a 3-time tag champ who main evented the first night of WrestleMania 37, which is one of only 2 times a women's match has closed a night of Mania at time of recording. In May 2022, Banks and Naomi, then the reigning women's tag team champions, walked out of WWE during a Raw broadcast, forcing a scramble to rebook the show and a protracted and futile attempt to get both back into the company. Finally free to wrestle elsewhere, the newly christened Mercedes Moné would win the IWGP Women's World Championship, defeating another former and future released WWE superstar Kairi Sane, before an injury derailed her run. She would return and join AEW in 2024, where she embarked on an epic stint as the TBS champion. Complete with her new belt collector gimmick, Moné captured women's straps across numerous promotions, racking up more than a dozen title wins. The unprecedented images of the CEO sporting up to 14 different titles simultaneously were burned into fans' retinas throughout 2025. She bossed it. It initially was hard to envision someone with Mercedes' WWE resume doing significantly better after leaving. A lateral move as a multi-time world champion in another promotion would have been expected, but she exceeded that and has cemented herself as one of the biggest women's wrestlers on the planet during the past 2 years. She's done all right. Number 3, Swerve Strickland. As Isaiah Swerve Scott in WWE, the future Swerve Strickland led his NXT stable Hit Row to SmackDown in the fall of 2021. But the hip-hop oriented group was not long for the blue brand. Within weeks of their call-up, all 4 members of the faction were released from WWE. It was an absolutely baffling move to just cut an act before they even had a chance to succeed or fail. Like, why even bother in the first place? Strickland would not waste much time, returning to Defy Wrestling briefly before signing with AEW less than 4 short months after his WWE release. Now, it is fair to say that Swerve's first year or so was a bit uneven. There was the Swerve in Our Glory tag team with Keith Lee, and then the Mogul affiliate stuff with Parker Boudreaux and Trench. But he really began to find his footing once he was paired with Prince Nana and discovered his wrestling soulmate in Hangman Page. Page and Strickland would have a rivalry and eventual mutual respect that elevated both wrestlers, created iconic moments, and cemented their respective statuses as main event stars. Swerve became the first black AEW World Champion in 2024, holding the title for 4 months. His tag match alongside Will Ospreay versus the Young Bucks at All In Texas last year remains one of the best matches of 2025 too. Today, Strickland is a shadow of the skinny guy leading a stable of NXT call-ups to the main roster. He's undeniably a cool, sinister, dangerous megastar who could easily be plugged back into a top title feud at any given moment. Being released was probably the best thing that could have happened to Swerve. Fans, AEW, and the man himself have all benefited ever since. Number 2, Tony Storm. A pie to the face. Yep. When wrestling fans are asked to sum up Tony Storm's 5-month run on WWE's main roster, that is how they invariably describe it, immediately recalling the memory of then SmackDown Women's Champion Charlotte Flair humiliating Storm on the post-Thanksgiving episode of Blue Brand TV. Actually, it was 2 pies to the face. But who's counting, eh? Me. I am. A month later, Tony requested and was granted her release. Storm made the jump to AEW 3 months later as a surprise entrant in the Owen Hart Foundation Women's Tournament, immediately becoming a more respected star than in her entire WWE main roster run. I mean, that wasn't hard. I've mentioned the pies. Less than 6 months later, she won the first of 4 AEW Women's World Championships. Like others, Tony had a bit of an uneven patch there as well. Outcasts anyone? But in the latter half of 2023, she developed what has become a career-defining character. Timeless Tony Storm. Billed as hailing from Stage 7 at Warner Studios, Storm transformed into a starlet from Hollywood's golden age, albeit as a foul-mouthed, raunchy starlet. Storm quickly became one of the most popular acts in AEW, turning into a major star and a force in the company. She took on protege Mariah May, who would brutally turn on her by beating her bloody in one of the most vivid moments in recent memory. Their Hollywood ending match in March 2025 was easily one of the best matches that year, and maybe in AEW history. Today, even though her star has slipped and she is expected to be out of action for the remainder of the year, Timeless Tony has reached a peak that very few wrestlers ever achieve. She's created a character that is, well, it's timeless, and she will constantly be in the conversation as a potential champion whenever she's around. It's a far cry from the woman who took 2 pies to the face in a bizarre WWE humiliation ritual. However bad WWE gets, hopefully we never enter pie territory again. Number 1, Cody Rhodes. Honestly, there might not be a list like this without Cody Rhodes. Sure, people have left WWE and thrived away from the market leader before, but few have achieved the levels of success that Cody did after leaving in 2016. Whether he was dashing, touting his legacy, a Rhodes scholar, or just painted up as Stardust, it was clear that Rhodes wasn't going to get a real opportunity as even an upper mid-card wrestler. So in 2016, Cody began a 3-year run wrestling all over the world, competing with and against countless stars that either no longer or never had been part of WWE. He became a bigger star in the process. In September 2018, Rhodes and the Young Bucks also staged the original All In as a direct response to wrestling journalist Dave Meltzer stating that he didn't believe Ring of Honor could sell out a 10,000-seat arena. They showed him. That show opened the door to the creation of All Elite Wrestling, which immediately became the number 2 wrestling promotion in the United States. Cody helped to launch the company as an executive vice president. He would then win the TNT title 3 times before requesting his release in February 2022. Now, had the story ended there, Rhodes' journey would have been deemed a rousing success. He'd successfully ditched the crummy Stardust gimmick to become a bona fide superstar on the independent circuit, and founded the first serious non-WWE promotion in the US since WCW folded. However, we all know that Cody's story was not finished. His return to WWE at WrestleMania 38 kicked off an incredible run that has seen him main event 4 consecutive WrestleManias, win the WWE Championship 3 times, and oversee a renaissance of WWE that elevated the company to heights not seen in more than 15 years. Rhodes talks about being QB1 for WWE. He's a leader who takes his role at the top of the company very, very seriously. But literally none of this would have been possible had he not bet on himself and left WWE 10 years ago. Oh, how time flies. Take note, recently released stars, this could just be the beginning of an exciting new chapter or story. Now click on another one of these What Culture Wrestling videos right here to continue your YouTube journey with us. Have a good day.
And that was a good video by Whatculture Wrestling. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share the video. See you next